Good evening, welcome to Grandma's Handbag. My name is Dean. So glad you could join us. Cheers to you all my subscribers, and to new subscribers as well. Welcome. Today's episode is Collection Time Vision. And it's going to be the first of a look into my collection, which has been going strong for a bit over 20 years now. If that doesn't say the age, then I don't know what does. Anyway, enough rambling. Grandma's little helper tonight is this little thing here, which goes by the fancy name of Schluck White Fortified. I'm led to believe it's sort of like a white zin. American viewers will know sort of what that's about anyway, but it's like a port, basically, a white port, and I'm having this with tonic and lemon because that cuts the sweetness just a little bit, and that citrus makes it really refreshing. It's actually quite warm here today, so this is doing the trick just nicely. Thank you. Good stuff. All right, let's get on to this. 7 inches. Now, I've just happened across 7 inches over time, basically. There's no real rhyme or reason to what I collect. I'm sort of going to split this roughly into at least 2 to 3 episodes. The first one here are mainly 1960s. I'd say about 10 to 15 years ago, I was able to get a collection of what I would consider pretty decent, on the whole, great singles tracks. And couple those up with the 7-inch labels, and sometimes the 7-inch sleeves as well. The occasional picture sleeve, but mostly the record sleeve, and you get some interesting things happening. Anyway, so there's a couple of things I don't listen to so much in here, but there's quite a few that I still would keep any day of the week. First one first. On the Decca label, the Marmalade Reflections of My Life, 1969. Second one, Astor label, the Beau Brummels, Sad Little Girl. Good Time Music, John Sebastian song. And I'd say that's mid 65, 66 Beau Brummels. The next one, the classic, on a Decca label, Rolling Stones, Not Fade Away, backed with Little by Little, the old Nanka Felge. Alright, great song, this one. The Ivy League, My World Fell Down. I really love Sagittarius' psych pop version of this, and therefore, once I realised that Carter and Stevens from the Ivy League wrote it, and I found that copy pretty cheap, had to have it. Parlophone label, Mary Hopkin, Those Were the Days, backed with Turn, Turn, Turn. A sentimental favourite. Definitely more the parents' taste than mine. An EP now. And we've got Jerry and the Pacemakers, Ferry Across the Mersey EP. 4-track EP there. Here's a parents one, an original. Can you read that? Polk Salad Annie, Tony Joe White. Now that's got to be a fairly early one of his, and what a great track that is as well. Okie dokes, we've got another EP, Wild Honey, the Beach Boys. This has got Then I Kissed Her, Heroes and Villains, Darlin' and Wild Honey. All great tracks. That's a great little EP, that one. Capitol label. Still an Australian press though. I think most of these should be Australian presses pretty much. The Small Faces with Shalalala Lee on the Decca label. Some Elvis on the RCA, Wear My Ring Around Your Neck, backed with Don't You Think It's Time. And rightio, Richard Harris with MacArthur Park. That is a Jimmy Webb song. Yep. Now look, some of the conditions of these could be better, and I do need to clean them by the look of it, but just still a trip down memory lane. Here's a favourite track of mine as a kid, Joe South, Games People Play. What a great track. And Joe South was even turning up on some early Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde sort of songs, so I think he came out of the Nashville area. Great stuff. Oh, and here's another classic on the Fontana label. Spencer Davis Group, Keep On Running. That's what I mean. These tracks here, to me, they're all sort of great 7-inch singles. So when I was presented with a chance to get a lot of these, maybe 4 or 5 for $1, couldn't resist it. Here's one that I used to flog. River Deep Mountain High, Ike and Tina Turner. This is an English press, this one. But what a great, great song. Duram label, A Wider Shade of Pale, Procol Harum. Geez, we've got quite a few to get through here. The Herd, I Don't Want Our Lovin' to Die. Peter Frampton's Finest, that's a mono there. Here's another great, great song. Dave Davies, Death of a Clown. And on the back, Love Me Till the Sun Shines. 2 great songs. It's interesting how they became Dave Davies and not Kinks tracks, but anyway, that's a story for another day, isn't it? The Small Faces, All or Nothing. Fantastic. Now, I've got at least 2 copies of this one. The Trogs, Love Is All Around. I think this was a huge single in 67. Anyway, another one on the Pie label. The Kinks, Tired of Waiting for You. Fantastic. I'll just keep saying that all episode. Fantastic. But seriously, most of them are. This one, not so sure about. Rice Is Nice by the Lemon Pipers. That sort of bubblegum pop. Now here's one I do kind of treasure. Not especially rare, but Substitute by The Who on the Reaction label. And that is an English press. Really good. Okay, we've got some Aussie ones here now. And I must have inherited this one at least, so maybe a couple more from my parents. But the Id featuring Jeff St. John, Watch Out, and You Got Me Hummin'. And on the back, Devil Got My Woman. Rightio. Very interesting. Got to go and give that a play. I haven't heard that since I was a kid. Crash Craddock, Well Don't You Know. I do love that EMI, the best sound on record. Alright, I think Crash Craddock might have been in Australia, I'm not entirely sure. I know these guys were there. The Deltones on the Leiden label, Sitting in the Moonlight. Leiden was a fairly well-known, well-to-do label at the time. And the main reason why that was it's a double A side. Oh, actually, no, technically not. Johnny O'Keefe, Right Now. This Johnny O'Keefe was basically the Australian Elvis. You know, every country that wasn't America had an Elvis, more or less. Johnny Halliday. Was Cliff Richard the Elvis for the UK, or was it Lonnie Donegan? Anyway, yeah. So Johnny O'Keefe brought the Leiden label to prominence in Australia. Now here's another one. 20 Miles, Ray Brown and the Whispers. And I don't know if they wrote that. I'll have to have a look now. I'm not getting a Man and Low. Cynthia Man. Anyway, never mind. And again, Brenda Lee with Too Many Rivers on the Festival label. That's an Aussie label as well. Okay. Cotton Fields by the Beach Boys, backed with The Nearest Faraway Place. I'm hoping that's an original Capitol sleeve as well. Here's an interesting one, and I'm pretty sure that's an original sleeve. Jack Nietzsche with The Lonely Surfer and Backed with Song for a Summer Night. Yeah, very odd one to find. I think that was a more recent find for me, that one. Picture Sleeve EP of Peter, Paul and Mary with Blowing in the Wind. Don't Think Twice, It's Alright on the back. The Twilights, another Aussie band doing a cover, which was, I think, a big part of the 60s, accepting, the Easy Beats were one of the first to break out of the mould, I think, being a songwriting group of themselves. But the Twilights were quite big. Needle in a Haystack. I think, from memory, the lead singer of the Twilights was Glenn Shorrock, who went on to be in the Little River Band. So, yeah. Here we go. On the London label, Roy Orbison and Blue Bayou. Look, really hard to refuse that when they pop up. And another one from the Big O, Crying. Yeah, I'm not sure where that one's from. New Zealand press. But anyway, you'll notice most of these as well have the centre hole intact. I guess the jukebox copies didn't percolate down maybe as much as they do in America or that here. So yeah, hole intact is what happens more often in Australia anyway. Maria Dolores on the Vanguard label, that's Joan Baez. I don't know if you can see that. John Lennon, Imagine, Backed with It So Hard. Very nice. Oh wow, what a track. The Beach Boys, Sloop John B, Backed with You're So Good to Me. Really, really love this track. That got me through some tough times. In one of my first jobs, we used to crank that actually on a jukebox at the end of every shift, just because it had the beautiful line, I want to go home. So yeah. Excellent. Nancy Sinatra and produced by Lee Hazelwood, or with Lee Hazelwood, Summer Wine. Now, as far as kooky 60s singles go, that's way up there, and that's why I couldn't resist grabbing that, jumping on it the moment I saw it. Now, this is a late 70s one, I think. It's an A-side. It's a Beach Boys medley. It's got Good Vibrations, Help Me Rhonda, I Get Around, Shut Down, Surfing Safari, Barbara Ann, Surfing USA, and Fun, Fun, Fun. All backed with, 1981 that is, all backed with the absolutely immortal God Only Knows. Which, yeah, just a beautiful song. Tracy by the Cufflinks. Don't know a lot about that. I thought they were local based on the festival label, but turned out they're a UK band. As are these guys. Tin Soldier by the Small Faces. You can see that little immediate label in there as well. An EP with Carrie Ann by the Hollies. On the back here we've got King Midas in reverse on there. So a little bit of touch of Psyched from the Hollies. The Beau Brummels. This is the 1970s. Maybe Beau Brummels when they regrouped, I think. Anyway, produced by Ted Templeman and Lenny Waronker. Down to the Bottom, 1975. And the 1960s, Beau Brummels, Don't Talk to Strangers. The Astor label, I'm pretty sure, I always thought that was an Aussie label that you tend to see here more often. Anyway, Michelle, Terry Lightfoot's Jasmine. Sorry, not Michelle. Country Blues. You can see the A there for the demonstration record. And the hole hasn't been punched out yet. I was waiting for that to make me a mint, but I think the price there says it all. Still probably about the same price. As would this one be. The Cowsills, The Rain in the Park and Other Things. Japanese press. Paid $3 20 years ago. I think it's depreciated, but never mind. Bobby Gentry and Glenn Campbell. All I Have to Do Is Dream. Beautiful. Lovely track, Boudleaux Bryant. Here's a great classic label. Private Number, Judy Clay and William Bell on the Stax label. Very pleased to get that. That's a British press. And another one on that soul tip as well is Why Am I Treated So Bad by the Sweet Inspirations, written by Staples, so I'm assuming the Staples singers. And Sweet Inspirations, as far as I can remember, I'm thinking that Whitney Houston's mum, Cissy Houston, was in the Sweet Inspirations. Hope I'm right on that. Please, if anyone knows, let me know. Gladys Knight and the Pips on Tamla Motown 45. I Wish It Would Rain, backed with It's Summer. Oh, this is a weird one. The Beatles, Hey Jude, and on the back, this is some sort of a bootleg, clearly. You got Those Were the Days on there. Marianne and She Wears My Ring. So it's 4 different artists. And I just did some research on it, never looked before. I got handed this down from my aunt. It's a Malaysian record press. Very strange. Absolutely Essential 45. Hello Goodbye with I Am the Walrus. And another one. You can't go wrong with this era of the Beatles in my mind. All You Need Is Love. Oops, I knew that was going to happen. But he's still good. With Baby You're a Rich Man. Which you have to be if you're going to start dropping records all over the bloody place. I'm not, so I'm going to stop dropping records. Love Me Do, backed with I Feel Fine and Rock and Roll Music. This is one of the very first singles or records I ever got, because this was actually a, I don't know if you can see that at the bottom there. It says bonus 3-track EP. And that came with the Beatles' 23 #1 hits. So 20 of them were on one LP. You can imagine how much music was on each side. And they couldn't fit those 3. They were the Australian #1s, they were. Here's one that I wish had the bloody record in it, but I bought it at a garage sale and didn't know that there wasn't one in there. You know, when you see it that quickly, you just make sure you've got it. Rolling Stones, You Better Move On, Poison Ivy. This would be quite rare, but it's a cover only. What a shame. All right. Melting Pot by Blue Mink. Can't say I've heard that from memory. All right, and to just about wind them up. Oh, I got one good one for last. I've got a whole bunch of picture sleeves. The Hot 5 Louis Armstrong EP. 4 tracks on the back there. That's a very young Satchmo. And we have another one with Mac the Knife, Ain't Misbehavin', St. Louis Blues on the Coronet label. Ambassador Satch, Dardanella, 12th Street Rag, Louis Plays the Blues. We've got Potato Head Blues, Alligator Blues, Melancholy Blues, and Weary Blues. These things were all maybe 50 cents each a couple of years ago. When the Saints Go Marching In, another 4-tracker. Billie Holiday, Beautiful Gloomy Sunday. Lovely. Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, which I had to get because the last track is Salt Peanuts, which is an absolutely infectious song. Love it. And of course, who doesn't have Old Man River? Paul Robeson in there somewhere. Alright, and I have left the best for last. I didn't mean it, but it actually just turned out that way. We have the 7-inch, Australian 7-inch of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lot of Love, backed with Living Loving Maid. Yeah. Classic 7-inch track. All right, thanks for sticking with us, guys. Cheers to all of you. This will be an intermittent series. I'll get into some more pretty soon, but in the meantime, take care. Have a great week. Thanks for checking this out, and thank you all for checking in. Cheers to you.